Hey everybody, and welcome back to Split Couch Games. I'm Scott. That's Ben.
Hello.
And we're doing another podcast. This is podcast number 7, and we have a few things to talk about today. We're going to start off with the quote-unquote circle of life policy at GameStop that is making everyone lose their ever-loving shit.
Lose their collective shit, yes.
Oculus just lost a lawsuit to Zenimax. We'll talk about that, explain it all here pretty quickly. There's some sort of nudity glitch that Ben has brought to my attention. Why Ben knows about it, I don't know, but we're going to find out.
It's trending articles on Kotaku, really, is all.
And then the PS4 is finally entering the 21st century. We'll tell you why. Clickbait, woo! In the middle of a video. It's a tease. That's what it's called. It's called a tease in the radio business. And we're going to talk about a couple of small things like Fire Emblem Heroes and Conan Exiles later in the episode if we get there.
Yay.
So, start things off. Circle of Life. GameStop policy.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I never really know how to feel about GameStop and everything because, like, I always hear all of these, like, terrible things.
Mm-hmm.
They have, this going on, and I hear these horror stories of how people are treated and everything. But in my experience, all the GameStops that I've, like, frequented, I've never had bad experiences at.
Yeah.
Like, I've never once gone into a GameStop and been treated poorly or disrespected in any way or anything like that. Like, I've had a couple where, like, maybe the guy behind the counter was a little awkward, but that's an entirely different story.
Yeah.
And I don't ever really feel like I've once had stuff, like, pushed on me or anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, like, it seems so odd to implement this policy in the way that it is. Like, I completely understand that they want... I guess we should explain what the policy is. They want, like, 75% of their sales to be used stuff. No?
That was an example.
Right.
Basically, every store is given, like, a quota, essentially.
Yeah.
And this quota is for everything from pre-orders to used item purchases, and like the GameStop power-up rewards sign-ups and everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was one other thing in there, but I can't remember. But they're essentially 4 areas that all have their individual quotas, and those are dependent on each store. So essentially, like, if the example that was given was if a store has like a 30% quota for used item sales, mm-hmm. and an individual person sells $1,000 worth of merchandise for that week or month or however long of a period of time they're looking at, then $300 out of that 1,000 needs to be used items.
Yeah.
So, like, the problem that it's causing is that, like, if someone comes in and says, hey, I want to buy this new game, even if they have it in stock, it would actually, like, be harmful to the employee to sell them that brand new game if they're already behind on their used item sales and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I looked it up. We have game pre-orders, power-up renewals, pre-owned sales, and trades, and then like a couple other like game protection guarantees and hardware warranties.
Gotcha.
So you have to hit all your quotas, and hitting, like, if you don't hit like the quota, then you technically are like losing, and they don't take too kindly about that, even threatening to let people go. I don't know if they've explicitly said that, but
well, that's what the employees are saying, is that they're being asked to hit 3 out of the 4 quotas every month.
Mm-hmm.
And if they aren't making those numbers, then, like you said, the managers aren't particularly happy, and some of them are even saying that, hey, you might get fired if you don't step up your game. So
yeah, and like the crazy part about it is like you could have them sell, they can be 60% of their sales could be done for like new stuff, but if they're not hitting their pre-owned quota, then under that policy, then they're not fulfilling their obligations to the company.
Yeah,
which
I mean, I honestly don't understand why it's a thing at all, really. Because I mean, don't get me wrong, like I understand that a GameStop is a company trying to turn a profit and all that kind of stuff, and but like if I go in there, I buy a brand new game, like it released today, and then 3 days later I turn around and sell it back to them. At most I'm gonna get $20-$30 unless they have a special promotion going on or something, and I happen to essentially meet the requirements for it. Yes. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, you can get $40 for your trade-in if you trade it in towards this thing.
And it's
and,
like
and then
it's a new game and everything.
Yeah, and then they turn around and resell that copy of the game for for practically full price. And I don't know. I mean, I've always just kind of thought that they're already like making huge profits on a lot of their used stuff. So why can't they just kind of maybe take it back a couple notches? Instead of selling a used copy of a brand new game for $58 instead of the $59.99. Then
it's usually $6 for a new game, $55 for a used game.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, you cut it back a bit more. Like, make buying a used copy actually worth someone's time. Because I mean, the vast majority of people, by the point in time you're looking at spending $60, like an extra $5 to essentially be guaranteed that it works, isn't that big of a deal. And I mean, they also don't ever really talk about the fact that if you buy a used game, you have something like 7 days to return it. And that's it. Even if you go home, you play it, and you don't like it, you can return it and get a full refund.
Yeah.
And I feel like if they more pushed that, then it would, things would work out a little bit better. But I mean, that's just kind of my opinion, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those cases where some business guy who doesn't really understand gaming, he understands business, and he's really good at that, and he's like, we're going to increase our sales by doing this policy and pushing our store associates to do better. But they don't.
I think it's more in line with a lot of other companies, which is simply that the guys at the top are really only looking out for the bottom line, and pushing harder profit margins and everything is going to make the shareholders happy and all that kind of stuff. So they don't really care about how it may affect the employees at the bottom line or anything. I mean, whether or not that's intentional is obviously a completely different story, but that's basically what's happening. Is they're looking at how can we make the most money possible, and then kind of go from there.
But I mean, that's it. My point was an extension of your point, where they could just change their practices to be more to draw more people into doing what they want them to do in the first place, as opposed to doing almost a simpler, more blanket solution. Instead of changing their marketing and changing what they're going for, because GameStop is always going to have that used games market, which is what they, in order to stay in business, is what they need to do, because it's always going to be a cheaper way for people to pick up and start playing the newer titles, because there's still some Xbox games on the Microsoft Store or Steam Store that, unless they're on sale, they're still full $60 games after 3 years.
Yeah.
So really embracing that aspect of it would be, in my opinion, a good idea. But they're trying to they're trying to maximize profits by like policies and planning, as opposed to like just good like business practices and treating their customers well.
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't even really have any sort of incentive involved. Like, it's not like, for every $10 of used game merchandise or, used merchandise that they sell, employees get $1 or anything.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have any incentive to sell this used stuff, and most people don't want used items.
Yeah.
Like, it's just kind of one of those, like, human nature type of things. Like, sometimes, someone like myself will go in, it's like, maybe I'm not sure about a game, so if I can save, like, $10 or something, then, yeah, sure, why not? But realistically, like, there are a lot of times where, like, I know recently, I think it was, I saw someone posting saying, that they were working at GameStop, and, like, Ubisoft was essentially having a sale on, like, Far Cry or something. So the game was only, like, $30, but their used copy was still $55.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's no way that they can combat situations like that. And, I mean, especially when certain AAA video games don't do well, those situations happen way more often than what, GameStop probably likes to admit.
Yeah. Are you trying to tell me the AAA games are not doing well overall? Is that what you're trying to tell me, Ben?
I mean, I feel like the vast majority of them are, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I feel like it's kind of becoming an oversaturated market in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Too many people trying to get their slice of the same pie, essentially. And
yeah,
it's... I don't really know how else to describe it, but I honestly feel like it's kind of like a Call of Duty syndrome, almost. Where, like, everyone tries to do the same thing because they know it works, and nobody's trying to innovate or do anything new, except for Nintendo. And, I mean, honestly, that may be their saving grace, but...
It's really always been their saving grace.
It really has been.
Sometimes they miss the mark, but, hopefully the Switch lands and provides a lot of entertainment.
Yeah.
They've just addressed their, like, kind of less than robust game lineup at launch and stuff by saying that they just want to consistently put out titles, as opposed to just, like, dumping, like, here's all these titles.
Yeah, front loading. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
which I can totally get behind.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, when you have Zelda, you're going to play Zelda most people are going to play Zelda over the course of a few weeks, and then if a new game launches, then they have a few weeks to play that, and it just keeps them coming back to the console.
Exactly.
Seems like a good plan.
Yeah. And I mean, I watched I don't know if you ever watch Matt Pat's Deadlock on his Game Theory channel.
Nope.
It's essentially kind of like a debate sort of type of video where he and one other person will, debate things. And he had Reggie Fils-Aimé on there as the other person, and he was essentially debating with him whether or not Nintendo should stop making consoles and just turn into a third-party developer. Obviously, Reggie was in support of making consoles.
What?
But
no, I think that our consoles are a mistake. Don't ever buy them.
But no, he actually brought up, like, a very interesting point that, like, I hadn't even realized until he was saying it, that literally the vast majority, if not all, of, like, modern normalcy when it comes to video game consoles were first done by Nintendo. Because, like, Nintendo was the first console to use a joystick. They were the first console to have shoulder bumpers. They were the first console to have rumble in their controller and everything.
Were they the first one with shoulder buttons?
Yeah, Super Nintendo.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
but yeah, like he listed off like all these different things and everything, and I was just like, holy cow, like that all like makes so much sense. And how have I not seen this before?
I mean,
and it kind of makes me curious, like where things are going to be going from here. But we're way off topic now.
I mean, I think we covered it. I think I couldn't find the article that I found earlier, but the CEO of GameStop came out and was like, "This isn't entirely accurate."
Yeah,
that's pretty much all it was.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what CEO would be like, yeah, our employees are lying to people because they don't want to get fired.
Yeah, but like he did not categorically deny it. He was just like,
this isn't completely accurate. It's just kind of accurate.
We have policies. But anyway, second biggest thing is I'll let you introduce the Oculus and Zenimax lawsuit because you understand it. I didn't hear about it at all somehow.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how you managed
to. This is a video
game
news podcast.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're on the up and up.
Basically, for those of you that don't know, Zenimax filed a lawsuit against Oculus, essentially saying that a lot of Zenimax ideas, code, tech, that kind of thing were used in construction of the Oculus, because there were a lot of key employees that used to work at Zenimax that now work at Oculus, and they worked at Zenimax during a point in time where Zenimax was toying around with the idea of creating a new VR headset, and then they ended up canning the idea, and that's when all these people reportedly left. Probably not at the same time, mind you, but just like over a course of time.
Mm-hmm.
And Zenimax has won the lawsuit, so Oculus is going to have to pay them $500 million.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. And let's see if I can... Where did it go?
And just for those who don't know, when you sign, or when you're working in a tech company, you sign non-competes, and that means you basically can't take anything that you were working on and apply it to another company.
Yeah.
It's called stealing.
Yeah, and I want to find that direct quote again. I accidentally went away from the article that I was looking at.
Oops.
But there was essentially a representative from Zenimax that ended up contacting... it wasn't Kotaku. Kotaku actually pulled the quote from another article and referenced it on a different website. But, oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. So, a Zenimax representative ended up saying, in addition to expert testimony finding both literal and non-literal copying, Oculus programmers themselves admitted to using Zenimax copyrighted code. The Oculus Rift was built on a foundation of Zenimax technology. As for the denial of wiping the hard drive, the court's independent expert found 92% of Carmack's hard drive was wiped. All data was permanently destroyed right after Carmack got notice of the lawsuit, and that his affidavit denying the wiping was false. So
I got caught. Gotta delete everything.
It pretty much is what that boils down to. It seems like so.
It's so.
Yeah, I
like
mean,
you can't do that.
Like you said, I mean,
can't do
it. Pretty much any tech job you get out there is going to have you sign an NDA. Mm-hmm. I mean, heck, even non-tech jobs, I'm sure, have you sign NDAs and non-disclosure.
Anything that has like research and stuff, and like I think NDAs are pretty standard as well.
Technically, even Starbucks has a non-compete.
Sure.
Like if you work at Starbucks, you're not allowed to work at another coffee shop for like 3 years or something.
Yeah, there's so from my understanding of non-competes is that like they're, especially in Washington State where we are, they're incredibly hard to actually enforce, as long as if you're not like if you were working at Starbucks, for instance, like you couldn't like go to the coffee shop and be like, yo, Starbucks does it this way, so we should probably do that because it's better.
Yeah.
But like you can go work at another coffee shop because that's your skill. Like you can't a company can't keep you from using your skill base to make a living. Like,
yeah. I mean, like, obviously, like you said, it's like,
but that's just a general misunderstanding that people have about non-competes that I want to clarify for those who haven't had to deal with them.
The phrasing in most contracts says that you're not allowed to work in the industry for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, like, I remember when I used to work at Starbucks, like it said in my employment contract, I am explicitly not allowed to work as a barista at another coffee shop for a certain period of time after leaving Starbucks. And I mean, like you said, like that's really difficult to uphold because it's not like, you know, somebody from Starbucks corporate's going to follow you around for the next 3 years. But I mean,
Howard Schultz is just like peering into it's like looking at all the coffee shops and like, you look familiar.
I mean, I think it's mainly just kind of put in there as a way to.
It's more of like a statement, yeah.
Yeah,
it's a safety net. Like, oh, we told you can't do this, and you signed a contract saying you won't do this.
Yeah, and now here you are. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
But when you actually take code from a project from another company,
copy paste,
even if they don't use it, like Ben said, Zenimax had canceled their VR things. That doesn't matter. Like,
yeah, you can't do that, guys.
You just
don't do
it. It doesn't end well at all. Like, nothing good comes of that.
Yeah.
Except for Zenimax. Zenimax is getting $500 million, which is probably more than they put into it to begin with.
Probably. But I mean, honestly, like if that money ends up like working its way into ESO or something like that somehow, I'd be okay with it.
Oh yeah, that is them, isn't it?
Yep.
Morrowind's coming.
Yeah, I saw that and I got irrationally excited. I
think a lot of people got irrationally excited.
Well, I mean, I got excited about it just because, I mean, like, you know, it's Morrowind, but at the same time, it's like, why am I excited about this? I don't really play ESO. Like, I play it like every now and then for like an hour.
You turned it on last night. I saw it.
Well, yeah, but I didn't do anything. I like ran across the game space and then went into the Dark Brotherhood Sanctuary. Like that's all I did.
And if Morrowind was released already, you would be in Morrowind right now.
Yeah,
don't lie. You're gonna turn it on and you're gonna go to Morrowind and you're gonna be like, I've been here before.
I'm gonna hang out in, you know, Balmora and Vivek and Sedaine.
All those places I've totally been to.
Yeah,
I haven't. The only Elder Scrolls game that I've played is Oblivion, and I think I put like 8 hours into it, 8 or 9.
So you didn't really play it, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, pretty much. I probably put more than that into it actually, because
I mean, honestly, if it's like anything less than like 50 hours, I don't know.
Oh, it was way less than that. I gave it a solid try. I enjoyed it for the most part. It wasn't my game, so I had to give it back.
I mean, to put things into perspective, I don't know about Skyrim just because I've played so many different characters across so many different platforms and everything, but for Morrowind specifically, my main character had something over like 600 hours clocked on it. And again, that was only my main character, and I spent a decent amount of time playing my friends' characters because they didn't want to play through the main story. And they were like, I'll give you $20 if you do this, and I'm like, sure. I know it like the back of my hand, I'll do it.
Alright. Oh, man.
And I mean, I know that I'm not like alone in terms of how much time.
Yeah, I'm sure that like that might be one of the greatest fan service announcements of all time. Like, hey guys, remember that game that everyone loves? It's coming back in a way.
In a way.
I wonder if it's gonna. I would assume that it's going to be like an exact replica, right? Like the layout's going to be the same, updated, obviously updated graphics, and like maybe a few things changed.
I mean,
to...
it's probably not going to be exactly the same, just because. I can't quite, because I know that ESO happened before Skyrim,
Sure.
but after Morrowind. So it might be taking place either. It could be taking place potentially before or after the eruption of the island's main volcano that's like right in the center. So there could be like massive geological changes, but I don't know. Based off of the trailer, it didn't look like that was the case, because if it was going to be afterwards, then I would assume it would be all ashy and everything, and that looked pretty green.
Okay.
Which also doesn't make sense, but
it's gonna be somewhat like you're gonna be able to probably move your way around fairly easily.
Yeah.
If you remember it at all. But yeah, so just don't steal from your companies. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Nothing too crazy there. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have on that. I just kind of wanted to shake my head at Oculus and the people who.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's going to impact it. Like, it's obviously 500 million is a big impact, but like you said, Mark Zuckerberg Facebook owns Oculus, so they're not struggling for money or anything. So it's not going to impact anything in the long term.
Yeah.
And yeah. All right. So really quick, what's this Nude glitch in Dead or Alive? Game. What game is it?
It's Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball 3.
I didn't know that they made a third one.
It only came out in Japan.
That explains why I didn't hear about it.
Yeah, there's apparently a I don't know to what extent, but there's a PSVR mode for it, essentially, where I think all it is like, you can essentially like move around and look at women, as they're sunbathing or something like that. And apparently, according to this article on Kotaku, essentially, like, if you get the headset to like clip through water, then the glitch will essentially like remove their clothing. Now, obviously, it's like, essentially like, Ken and Barbie doll underneath. Like, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
But it's a thing. It also removes their hair, so it's,
All right. I mean, sure.
If you're into that.
Yeah, I mean, that I'm not gonna make that joke, but
were you gonna make a cancer joke? Is that where you were?
No, of course not. I was totally gonna make a cancer joke. Anyway, you said it, not me.
The important part is that we were both thinking it.
I mean, wouldn't expect anything less from us. We're terrible people. Oh man. But yeah, so if you guys live in Japan and have a PS4 with VR, you guys can...
Or if you've imported the game.
You can do it that way. Either way. If you guys can get the game and dunk your head underwater and remove clothing from people in DOA. Because this is what people do with their time.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. But speaking of the PS4... They're getting external hard drive support.
Yeah, because...
Holy crap.
About time. Like, fucking what the hell?
360 had that. Like...
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It wasn't full hard...
The Wii U has had it for years and years.
Like, it's such a basic, fundamental thing.
Yeah. Next thing you know, they're going to come out and be like, okay, guys. Skyrim mods... are the exact same. We're not changing them.
I feel like, honestly, this is like... It's so basic. Like, I can't even think of another thing that, like, would match it. Like, I honestly thought that they had it.
Nope.
Because it was just so simple. And
Yeah,
I
no,
just,
their justification was that you can swap out the internal hard drive.
yeah, because I know that I want to do that with my console. I built my PC, and building my PC was fun, but like now that it's built, I'm never opening it again, except for maybe to clean it and maybe
Yeah, I was gonna say, except
like,
for to clean it,
but
hopefully.
like I'm not gonna like go in and like swap things around unless I absolutely need to.
Yeah, or if you're upgrading hardware or something.
Yeah, yeah. I like the idea that like you know what we're gonna have normal consumers, and I don't. You've interacted with normal people like who are not technologically savvy and they just like play consoles. We're gonna have them
Yeah.
open up. We're gonna first of all we're gonna like assume that they know that they can do this, and then open it up and then swap a hard drive in. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just kind of funny.
It was definitely a silly move on Sony's part, but they caught up, and maybe with the PS5 or whatever the hell comes next, it won't be an issue. They'll just
Yeah.
kind of automatically be like, "Don't worry, we got you."
we got this. We know what you want.
Yeah,
And then like the internal hard drives, like 30 gigs. Just
Dude,
to like,
I mean, at that point, they're doing worse than Nintendo.
yeah. I don't understand. Like, just give everyone 2 terabytes at this point.
I mean, I
It's
can
not-
kind of understand it from Nintendo's side of things, just because they've created, a portable console and everything.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I get that. I don't get Microsoft because even like the Xbox One S when it originally launched, it launched with 2 terabyte hard drives, but now it has at most a terabyte. It might be 500 again.
Yeah, it's. I think there's 500 and 1 terabyte
Yeah,
models, but there was a limited run of 2 terabyte models.
and it's like just 2 terabytes. Just do it. Just
yeah. That way I
That's-
don't have to hook up a freaking portable drive to the back of my Xbox.
And it can't be that much more expensive. Like our like I understand that like, they need like a specific one or whatever, but like our 2 terabyte hard drives, like external hard drives that we use,
Mm-hmm.
were $80.
Yeah. Well,
Like-
yours was.
Ours was the same. How much did you get yours for?
I got mine price matched to an Amazon sale, so it was only like 60 after tax.
Oh no, wait. Actually, that might be because I think I got mine from the Amazon sale.
Oh, okay.
So I think yeah, but I mean like they were like standard like $80 or something like that. I don't know. It's just so cheap nowadays. Just do it. Just like give us.
Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Gotta get some Shia LaBeouf up in here.
And not only that. Speaking of storage, Apple, please just like up the storage on iPhones. That'd be great too.
What storage do you have on your iPhone right now?
16 gigs.
I mean, they have options.
I know, but like they're like they keep upping the upper options, but the entry level is always like 16 gigs, and like
I mean, don't get me wrong, I agree with you, especially when they're like, oh, this, system update is going to take 4 gigs of space. And you're like, what the fuck? That's like...
hey,
Oh.
they've fixed that a little bit, okay?
I don't care.
Speaking of which, I was so mad that like I've been turning down the update to iOS 10 for like just for reasons. But
Did it do it while you were asleep?
no, it downloaded it, and so it was just sitting there taking up a gig and a half of space on my phone.
Oh, well,
For the
yeah,
longest
I mean,
time.
That's how it works.
I know, and I was like, why did you download this? I didn't say that was okay. Anyway, I'm gonna be honest with you. Completely forgot to put a timer on this, so I have no idea how long this has actually been going for. But
Quite a while.
we're at this 36-minute recording time, but we took a long time to actually get started.
We didn't take that long. We're probably about 4 minutes over.
Should probably stop.
Yeah, probably.
So that was our episode. Podcast. We talked about some things, laughed at some people, laughed a little bit more.
Got derailed. Lots.
Just to fulfill our promise, just wanted to give an update. It was like Fire Emblem came close to making 3 million. Fire Emblem Heroes came close to making $3 million on its first day.
Yeah.
Not quite Pokemon Go numbers, but still impressive for a free game. And Conan Exiles, which is a new open world PvP game in like if you H1Z1, DayZ, Rust, those kind of games, but in the Conan world universe, that's the word. They just kind of forgot to turn, or like something went wrong with the build, and they just didn't have DRM, so everyone was able to just like steal it. They're upset with anyone. They're disappointed. They're not upset. They're like, we're disappointed in people who chose to do it that way. Please buy it.
Like, I by no means support piracy, but like it's kind of like one of those things where I mean, what did you expect to have happen?
Yeah,
like, come on.
I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to, I assume at this point they fixed it, so don't go trying to do it. You might be able to get like the old version, but they're like, you're not going to have access to updates, so just go, if you're interested, go buy the actual game.
Yeah, and judging by how many people were interested in the last podcast that we talked about nudity, then there will be a ton of people interested in this, because you start out naked, man or woman, completely naked. So
like just
flop
it. Okay.
Your berries are just bouncing in the wind. There's a penis slider when you're making your character.
Is there any chance with the penis slider, right, that anyone is not gonna like have the tiniest just for the lulz, or like biggest because overcompensation? Like, is anyone really gonna have one in the middle?
Probably people that don't care.
People have to care.
I don't think they do, because I wouldn't.
Well, then that's not the game for you, Ben. Anyway,
that's probably why I'm not playing it.
God, we have to end this. This is gonna be a long edit. Oh God. Okay, we'll see you guys next time. Let's play Catch Games.
Bye.
Bye.